Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this week. And well, what a week it has been. It is Easter. It's Holy Banana Bread. It is Easter today. So happy Easter, everyone. This is going to be fantastic. What I want to do, where it is Easter, I'm going to drop something right away, right off the bat. I'm going to drop a membership. And the reason I'm doing this is I want you guys to take a look at a quick something here. Here we go. And Appalash, congratulations on your free membership. Now, if you look at that green box for the membership, if underneath of it you see another box, a gray box with a link in it, talking all about you got to turn your memberships on, click on that, turn it on. Otherwise, you can't win. And the reason I want you guys to look at that is next Sunday is the first Sunday of the month, which means we got free memberships coming out next week. So we're going to have a big giveaway, whole bunch of memberships. I can't wait. But for now, we, of course, have today, we have Easter. So absolutely, there's going to be an Easter theme through our pictures today, as you can probably see. The bear and bull this time around are collecting some Easter eggs. So that's kind of fun. You guys, there's so many of you guys who are here already. I'm so stoked for the show. Absolutely. Want to just mention March has been a fantastic week. March isn't a week, but it's been a fantastic month for the channel. We've had more views in March than ever. The channel's made more money than ever. We've had more subs than ever. So it's fantastic. Like that 4,000 sub, I was thinking like in February when we hit 3,000, I'm thinking, oh, that's a long ways off. But no, it's not that far away anymore. As we, as we're pushing, we're into the 3,300. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm looking forward to that. Today, of course, we do have the news. We're gonna handle all of your questions, comments, all of that fun stuff. We're just gonna, we're gonna let it roll. And of course, as always, I gotta show it. I do have my Starbucks mug. I have this. It is back again. So, every so often I will wet my whistle to a nice beverage. Well, hot coffee. It's nothing better than a hot coffee. Here we go. Now, last week, if you guys were here last week we had a Starbucks ad bot here. So every time I sipped my coffee last week, Holy Banana Bread, they were throwing the super stickers. I don't think that'll probably never, ever happen again in like the history of my YouTube channel. But that was just darn right odd. So those of you who were there, you guys saw it. That was funny. It was awesome. Very quickly, want to mention Blossom. So Blossom is that social media app that is designed for investors. It's got mostly Canadians. We did open it up into the US, but it's a great way to go on, interact with all of your favorite Canadian YouTubers and just investors in general. Great place to get ideas, a great place to just bounce things off the wall and see what's happening. So there is a link below. If you have not yet signed up for Blossom, go down there, click on that, sign up. Trust me, you will not regret it. When you're over there, be sure to track me down and follow me. I'll follow you back. Now, I want to talk a tiny bit about Discord before we go any further. There's been an issue over there on Discord. There's been some scammers who are impersonating me and reaching out to different people on the community and starting conversations. And quickly, those conversations go straight into crypto. So they're setting you up for a scam. I'm not doing that. So I'm not going to randomly out of the blue just direct message you and start talking about crypto. It's not going to happen. Now, I did try to mess them up a bit today. They had at least 2 profiles that were pretending to be me. So I changed my profile picture that way there. they both have my old profile picture. The one I'm using now has like a black background. So let's see them try to do that. And if they adjust, I'll change my profile picture again. I will fight them in any way, shape, or form. But anyway, just be very diligent, and not just Discord, even in the comments on the videos. If lately I haven't seen too many of them anymore. But I know a while back I had one popping up every so often. But if you ever see a weird message from me, basically saying, hey, come on over to my WhatsApp. Well, I don't have a WhatsApp. Actually, I mean, I'm trying to set up a WhatsApp for something different, but it won't work because there's something weird going on with my phone number. For some reason, whoever owned my phone number before me seemed to have been signed up to everything. So there's a few things I can't use. I can't use Uber. I talked to Uber's customer service to try to get it straightened out. And oh my God, it was basically like, it was very useless. So I can't use Uber. I can use Lyft though, but I can't use Uber. So anyway, be diligent today, diligent. And here's the thing. If you message me and you're like, you're not 100% sure if it's really me or not, ask me something specific. Ask me something about what you saw on the last live stream. The scammers aren't going to know the answer. I will. And don't worry, I would never take offense if you start questioning me as to whether or not I'm legit. So, yeah, anyway, that's kind of cool. All right, before we get to any news, let's take a look and check out everybody in the house. Change to Spare was in first today at 1:37 p.m. Holy banana bread. That's pretty early. I sure wish I got in on HPS.A last week. Yeah, absolutely. I did a deep dive on them probably about a week before that earnings call. And I did say I thought they were going to have some pretty good earnings. So, if you watch that and you missed out, then you'll be like, oh, darn it. I should have did something on that one. But that's fine. It's fine. You know what? I have a feeling I'm very bullish on Hammond. Right now, I think HMM.A will be up next. They've been correcting for a little bit. So, it's not a bad thing. Jonathan was in here. Am I late? No, that's Jonathan's normal line when he shows up. And just my happy Easter, everyone message, and a happy Easter from Stan. Here's Bismarcky. Happy Easter, everyone. Gonna be multitasking. Jay's game and the live chat. There we go. So depending on how active Bismarcky is in the chat, that'll tell us how the Jays game is going. If they're winning, he's probably not going to be as active. I'm thinking. I could be wrong, but go Jays, go. Well, a Prairie is in the house with a good afternoon and a blessed happy Easter to everyone. We got Lisa in here with a hello all, and good old Jordan. Jordan is in the house with a happy Easter and good afternoon, Candace and chat family. Hello, Jordan. Always good to see you. And we got Paul in the house with a hello, and John Locke is in the house with a happy Easter. All happy Easter, John. Always good to see you. And then congrats to Abalash who won a membership today. There we go. A few more congratulations. Holy banana bread. Ian's back in Canada. Wow, nice. Are you back just for a short stay, or are you here for a little bit longer than that, Ian? It's probably really cold here now compared to Colombia. Paul says, I see the sound panels behind you. You need one of those electric counters for subscriber numbers. Maybe. So that was the whole issue. As you guys know, I had that one video where the sound was absolutely just atrocious. That was the new mic. The new mic, I've returned it. I returned it. It's like, I cannot believe how bad that mic is. So I was thinking, okay, well, somebody said there was a little tiny bit of an echo. Let's take care of that. So I put up sound paneling, hence the back wall, completely different. All the lights are gone. The puzzle, I moved that out. So yeah, wow, we got the sound panels. Well, now the funny thing is, and maybe this will happen today. Every so often, one of them falls off the wall. So maybe that will happen on the stream. So pay attention to the sound panels and let me know if one falls. It could happen, which is funny. I'm using a Gorilla not a double-sided, but a Gorilla tape, and I'm sort of rolling it around. So it's kind of holding, but it's not the best. I probably need something better, but for now it's holding up. And every so often, if one falls, I just put it back up. So That works, and it's perfect for the filming, for when I'm filming. It's definitely awesome. Vic says, "We in trouble, folks. Let me explain." Okay, what's going on, Vic? Uncle and cousin who don't know squat about investing told me to buy Nvidia. Uh oh. Uh oh. That I know where you're going. I know where you're going. Back to the depression. And Vic says, "Didn't the shoe shine boys give stock advice before the 1929 crash?" They did. They did. Everybody thought they knew the market really, really well, and people were making money hand over fist. And then it all came crashing down. And well, that didn't. We all know that didn't end very well. Good Vibes is in the house with a hi. Now Vic is saying, "Uncle works in UPS warehouse and cousin in a grocery warehouse. Neither have invested, but they're both promoting Nvidia." Yeah, but Nvidia's been in the news though. In all fairness, um, if you're not an investor and all you hear is the news and you hear people going on about Nvidia is making all of this money, Nvidia is doing this, Nvidia is doing that, you're probably going to say, if somebody says, what should I invest in? You'll probably go, Nvidia. So that kind of does make sense. And the Abalash is in the house. There we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Ian says, "I don't know how long I will be in Canada. Don't know if I should work until I make enough money to go back to Colombia or work to buy more stocks. See how I feel in 6 months." Holy banana bread. So it sounds like you could be in Canada for a little bit. Well, let's hope the market is, you make a lot of money on the market so you can and get that plane ticket back when you want it. Dividend Shark is in the house with a happy Easter. Well, happy Easter to you, Dividend Shark. All right, let's start with the news. I'm gonna pull up. There we go. I'm gonna pull up our first story, and you will notice if you guys remember back on St. Patrick's Day, I had a leprechaun in every single picture. There will be a rabbit in every single picture, except for the crypto corner. Of course, that's just a standard one, but there will be a rabbit in every single picture today. So we're going to start with the Canadian GDP. So we had the month over month Canadian GDP report that dropped this week, and that's basically reporting on January. So we had forecasted a GDP of 0.4%. It came in at 0.6%. So the economy is looking to be a little bit hotter than we had anticipated. And the interesting thing is the Canadian economy is on track to beat first quarter forecasts. We're already on pace, even if, for February, we're on pace for a 0.4%. It may even be better by the time all is said and done. But combined, the gains in January and the February, even if we had a flat March, we're basically looking at having some of the strongest growth that we've had since early 2022. So we're definitely on par to have a good quarter. So the whole idea of a recession, it's nowhere near at all. So if the projections for our Q1 GDP right now is sitting at 3.5% year over year. And that's going to actually beat. The Bank of Canada initially thought Q1 was going to come in at 0.5%. Well, they're off a little bit on that. Now, one of the downsides to having a strong economy, well, it's a pretty big downside, is that it does take pressure off of the Bank of Canada to lower the rate cuts, because they can basically say, well, the economy is still doing okay. We don't need to cut rates right away. I'm still thinking about June, but the actual odds of June have lowered according to economists, analysts, and they're saying July is even starting to look a little bit better. But right now, I think the consensus is still on June. So we'll have to see how this is going to go. Now, of course, a lot of this is really because of a lot of it's the immigration, right? All of the extra people we have, that pumps up GDP. That's why it's happened. So it's hard to say, if that's not sort of what we call it, sort of hiding how bad the economy actually is. But right now with those numbers, the Bank of Canada's, they're not under any dire need to cut rates. They're still going to do it, though. I still think we're going to see 3 rate cuts this year in total. All right. Amanda's in the house. Hi, all excited I made it to a live. Happy Easter. And we got Mary right after her, saying hello, all. And we got Kendall. Hiya, guys and gals. And we got Alan in the house saying happy Easter, everyone. It's always so good to see you guys. You guys are awesome. This rocks. This is gonna be we're gonna have a chill day. We're gonna have a pretty chill day. Just me, my Starbucks, and yeah, what was I gonna say? And well, you guys, and we got the news. So let's oh, this is good. I do like this. And I love what GID just said. So GDP per person. So basically, that is actually what matters. So, and that has been going down. So the GDP per capita has been going down. I don't have the exact numbers on it for January, but that is one of the issues. And that is kind of a big thing. Unfortunately, though, nobody ever really uses it when it comes to making some of these bigger decisions. And that's kind of the interesting thing. Like, here's another interesting thing, too. I keep saying a lot this time around. So maybe we could have like don't have a drinking game. Every time Candace says I have to take a drink. Holy banana bread. That wouldn't be good. There was Trudeau has come out and he's now starting to talk about this whole thing about letting your rent go onto your credit report. So it's an interesting concept. I think it's hard though. How are you going to just the whole idea of how are you going to be able to report it? Because if all of a sudden landlords have to start reporting on your rent behavior, that's who gets the credit? For example, if let's say you have a roommate, probably only the person on the lease. So if you're not on the lease, you obviously aren't going to get a hit on that. But I actually was listening to it over on Russell's station and Russell's channel. And I was just like, well, that's kind of interesting. But anyway, we'll talk a little bit more. We'll talk a little bit more about that if you guys have heard about it and you want to talk a bit about it. That's kind of cool. Bismarcky says, I see Canoe wants to change the fund's name. What are your thoughts? Good, bad, indifferent? Here's the thing. I'm thinking that what I've saw, because I read the initial report, it's not going to be Canoe Income Fund. They have a whole bunch of other little funds, so it's a different fund that they're going to change into the Canoe Yield Fund, and we'll have to see what's going to happen with that. But it could become that we may have an additional Canoe that is a covered call version. So this could be really, really interesting. So I have to see more details. Now, I know they're going to, I believe it's around June, they're going to vote on that because it has to go to the shareholders and everything. So we're going to see what's going to happen with that. But that could be really, really interesting. As soon as I get some more information on it, I'll probably make a video on it because that's a very interesting concept. I'm surprised that Canoe hasn't gotten into it yet, to be honest. And the funny thing is I never thought about Canoe in that way. But now that they've mentioned it, now that they're talking about it, I'm like, oh my God, that makes sense. I'm surprised they haven't done it. And Jill says your background looks like a soccer ball. Yeah, a little bit, doesn't it? So yeah, I love it. I love it. Amanda W says, love Starbucks. Come on, Starbucks. Let's see some love for the host. Yeah, Starbucks. Where's your bot at now? Look, Starbucks. Look. Starbucks bot, come back. I miss you. Oh, well. I should have a sip too. Anyway, that was just very funny. If you haven't watched last week's live stream, check it out just for the Starbucks bot. the Starbucks bot. There we go. That was great. Change the Spare says, as someone who has rented all my life, rent affecting credit is interesting. I think it is. I mean, the reality is, and this is kind of what Russell Matthews was going on about, was that when it comes to actually getting a new house, and this is kind of the way that Trudeau had presented it, saying that, let this credit scoring, let your rent count as your credit score, improve your credit, make it easier to get a house. Well, the reality is, though, the thing that's hard about getting a house is the down payment. It's not really about your credit score. Like, people don't get denied a house based on their credit score. They get based on how much money they have, how much they can put down. That's where it all boils down to. Because if you have a bad credit score, you just end up going to you know, a not so great lender when it comes to getting a mortgage. So, but here's the thing. If you look at somebody who's perhaps struggling with their credit rating, this is an extra, this is an extra point on that rating, right? Not a point credit score wise, but it's at least an extra line of data, which could help because it shows that consistency. So that might help people, especially people who are struggling to maybe build their credit or get that first credit card, things like that. It could certainly help with something like that. So I think that is I think that's a really good. I think that's a good idea in that sense. I think it's being spun horribly though, and I think it's going to be really hard to track this because you will have, people who maybe rent a room out in their house. They're not going to probably want to be communicating all of your rental behaviors. So unless they come up with an easy way to track it, I think there's going to be a lot. I think it's going to be problematic at best. Kendall says, yeah, Russell has it pegged right. Your credit score is pointless. Your wages versus mortgage payment is the only thing that matters to banks. Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm saying I see this as being useful in another area, but not when it comes to getting a house. John Locke says, what simple rate of return percentage range on your portfolio would you be happy with? Currently sitting at 13% and happy with this. Just curious what others are happy with. It boils down to, this is kind of my marker. I want to, bare minimum, I want to beat the market. So whatever the TSX finishes for, let's say, a 1-year period, as long as I'm above that, I am happy. So you take right now, even on the 0 to 100K challenge, we're still in the process of building this portfolio. So, there's a lot of changes still left to come. And in fact, the episode that's coming out on Tuesday is all about the first little rebalance because we've done our first rebalance on that. So the total return that we have on that one right now, well, last month it was 10%. This month it's about 9%. And I'm okay with that. It's still outperforming the TSX, which is, to me, the goal. So it really boils down to, are you happy with where you're at? Realistically, when it comes to actual investing, that's a really good rate. If you're pulling out 13% a year on your portfolio, that's going to snowball like mad. So that's not a bad rate, John. I think I like that. I think that's a good rate. Now, there's going to be people out there that will, it's sort of like the whole bragger thing. There will be people out there that goes, oh, you're only getting 13%. I'm getting 20. Well, they're probably not. Chances are they're not. They're just bragging. Or they're not calculating things correctly. So you want to take a look at, this is what I like about Blossom, right? If you go over to Blossom, if they've linked their portfolio over on Blossom, you can see it. And then if they brag and say they got 20%, you can look at their portfolio and see if they've got 20%. So I think 13% though is fine, is absolutely fine. Like, you're not really in a, I don't want to call it, you're not in a race to get there. What you're looking for is you want to be outperforming the market. And there's going to be, and keep in mind too, it changes, right? Because the market goes up and down so much. Next year, you could have, let's say, well, we probably won't, but if you think about last year when we had the bear market, how many of you guys were in the red? How many of you guys were looking at red portfolios day after day going, I just wish I could get it green again. And now we're looking at, is 13% good enough? Yeah, of course it's good enough. It's absolutely fine. All right. GID says, rent affecting credit is just more government employees living off the taxes of productive people. Oh, there's yeah, sure. Why not? I'll let you have that. Jill says, can help you get a lower interest rate for your mortgage. Okay. So yeah, there we go. That's where it does. It's not that the credit score is going to get you the mortgage, but here's the thing, and this is a kind of key. It could help lower that interest rate because if you do have that really good credit rating, you're not, you can get your mortgage with a bank, which is probably one of the lower interest rates that you're going to have, opposed to, one of these second or third tier mortgage lenders. So you kind of want to look at it that way. All right. Paul says, already show your rent payment history to the bank. So Trudeau trying to make something that is already there. I hope the credit rating goes the other way for deadbeat renters to lower credit scores. Well, that's the thing. It should work. If they're reporting it, it should work in both directions. So if you're not paying your rent on time, it should impact your credit going the other way as well. But here's the thing, though. And this is something Russell Matthews, once again, we'll go back to his video. He sort of brought up the fact that if if landlords start looking at credit ratings, they can see a bad credit rating and say, oh, that's probably a good indication that that person's not going to pay their rent, and use that to sort of deny. Now, sometimes there are some realtors out there that do credit checks and will deny you anyway if your credit rating is bad. But this might be just an extra incentive for that. So that would be kind of interesting. So those of you, I really like what Russell had done on that. So if you guys want to check that out, just do a little Google search on Russell Matthews. And I think he published it like yesterday, I think it was either yesterday or today. So I watched it this morning. But yeah, check that out. It's a good video. Ian says, it will be interesting. The government won't know where the money came from. Child support, parents helping out. Well, that's true. I mean, that's true. They won't know. But you look at it this way. If you look at a regular credit card, like if you're paying your credit card every month on time, they don't know where you got that money from either. You could have if you're short 1 month, you could have went to your mom and said, hey, can I have $30 because I need to get my minimum payment taken care of? So they wouldn't know either. Enid's in the house. Well, hello, everyone. Hello, Enid. Good to see you. El Mayo is in the house. Let's see. They may have a yield of 20%, but I bet their total return is lower. Yeah, well, it depends. And that's the thing. And I don't know if John was talking about total return, but that's the number that I'm always interested in seeing. Yeah, you can have a yield of 20%, but if your stock's value is basically melting away really fast, you don't have that total return. So total return is where it is at. Absolutely. All right. Ian says, I can't keep track of how much I'm up because I contribute every week or so, but I doubt I'm up 13%. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, that's why spreadsheets will always be your friend. I love them. And now we're getting to the point too, that even if you don't know how to do a spreadsheet, we're getting to the point that there are different GPTs out there that you can get to design a spreadsheet for you. You would basically tell them what you want it for and what you want it to do, and it can do the formulas and everything for you. So it's getting to the point that you won't need to. It's getting to the point that you're not even going to need to know how to do anything. You'll just have AIs to do everything for you. Oh dear. But still, sometimes it's fun. It's just fun to play with numbers. I don't know if I'd want AI to do that part for me, but yeah, it's fun. I like numbers. Paul says, from red to positive number is even better. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see. Amanda says, let's all give Candace a like and a Starbucks in the chat. Let's get that bot going. There we go. Everybody, yeah, throw a hashtag Starbucks in the chat. Everybody do that. I know most of you won't, but just do it anyway, because that would be kind of funny. And yeah, hit the like button. Turn it blue. We'll get some more people in here. Right now I'm happy. We got about 40 people in here, and where it's a holiday, I wasn't expecting it. Sometimes holidays can be a little bit lower on the people count. GID says, I think beating S&P, the S&P should be the goal in the coming years. TSX is going to be pretty flat in my opinion. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, bare minimum, beat the TSX. We'll do it this way. If you're beneath the TSX, that's kind of bad. If you're above the TSX, but not above the S&P 500, then hey, okay, you're in the neutral zone. But if you're above the S&P 500, then you're definitely doing something right. That works. That works for me, GID. Nice one. Ian says, if you're not paying rent and getting evicted, you probably have horrible credit in the first place. That's probably true. That is probably true. There's a pattern. I know, for example, if you go to get into the military, a lot of times the military will actually look at your credit. And sometimes they will actually, if your credit's bad, they can, especially if you've got a bunch of outstanding debts and stuff, they can even stop you from joining the military just because that's something I guess a foreign agent could use to influence you or something like that. Somebody told me about it because it happened to them. And I was just like, well, why don't you just take care of your credit? Easy solution. But sometimes people like to run from credit. Uh, Kendall says, "Yep, Russell can clear up any misguided crap." True, Trudeau throws out there. There you go. There you go. No, another thing I like about Russell is he does maintain that very central stance. So that way there he can comment like, if there's an issue on the right, he will comment on that just as much as he will on the left. Lately, there's been a lot more on the left, but, still. And plus, you guys, every so often, Russell, Russell shows up in here, so you never know. Paralovia says, best bunny wishes to all in chat. Yeah, absolutely. Gotta love the bunnies. And before I read this, change the spare. Since you guys all started, I see it, all the Starbucks in here. Here's my Starbucks. These are awesome. They make a really good mug, by the way. This is like my favorite mug. Like, it's the only mug I really use. So this mug, it gets washed about 3 or 4 times a day. It's hilarious. Change the spare says, I don't know. I've paid my rent on time for 35 years with nothing to show for it. Having evidence of that would at least be something. Yeah, I mean, it would be something. And that's why I was kind of saying for people who are, struggling to get their credit built, that could be one way to sort of help them a little bit. That's kind of where I see it being as something as useful. Now, mind you, I will tell you guys, let's tell you a credit story here before we before we get to these Starbucks. I didn't have any debt. I was kind of like, I was very anti-debt. So I refused to take debts. I didn't have credit cards. I had nothing. And the funny thing is, anytime I did try to get anything, it was like, well, your credit card, you got nothing on your credit report. It's blank. Um, I was actually told by one bank once told me that I would have my credit rating would probably look better if I at least had something bad on it compared to having nothing on it. But I wanted to rebuild my credit. So what I did is, and this is not sponsored, they're not paying me or anything to say this. I just got a card with Neo. I went and got one of them secured cards. I used it and made sure it was paid. And quite literally, with after about 5 months of doing that, they sent me a thing saying, you're good for a real credit card now. So I applied and I got one, and I'm like, okay, there we go. Easy. Now I got two. I still have the secured one as well as the real one, and keeping them both looking good. And so now I'm actually building a credit rating. So there we go. That's kind of fun. All right. And here we go. Here's the Starbucks. Here they come. Look at this. Look at this. Starbucks. More Starbucks. Oh my God. You guys went crazy with the Starbucks. Oh, an egg-filled Starbucks. Nice. Holy banana bread. That was a lot of Starbucks. If the bot doesn't show up, then it's not doing its job. That's what I'm going to say. Prairie says, unlike 30 years ago when I bought my house at 20, having good credit or a lower interest rate is of no use if it's going to take 25 plus years to save up a down payment for the 20 to 30 somethings today. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you look at some of the price houses, if you're at a position where it's going to take you quite literally, half your life just to get the down payment, there's something broken with that. Definitely not a good thing. All right. Amanda says, is there any clear info on when swing trading in a non-registered account becomes income and not capital gains? Hashtag Starbucks. Well, here's the big thing. If you are swing trading, but you're switching stocks. So let's say, for example, you did YTSL, you made some money, and then you put that money into BTCC CC.B. And then you did that one, or sorry, BC, yeah, BT, yeah, B. I'm trying to remember numbers, letters. Um, as long as you're switching it up and you're not repeating yourself within 30 days, then that technically isn't swing trading per se. So it's when you're doing it to the same security over and over again in intervals that are less than 30. So that's just kind of one of those things. Now, if you're one of these swing traders that you buy and then you sell, let's say a month later, and then you wait a month or so and you notice the price is down again, and then you jump in, then you're fine. There's no issue at all. But when it's you're doing the same stock over and over again, that then becomes business income. So it's treated as yeah, it's treated as income. It's not treated as capital gains. Let's see. Paralovia says, I'm with you, Candace. Never really had credit. Bet I could not borrow $10,000 yet build a portfolio near $1 million. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm with you. Okay, but I could. I get it. But I could not borrow $10,000 yet build a portfolio near $1 million. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's kind of funny. It's one of these things, and I blame myself. Like my mom was like, "Oh, you should just take out a little loan of some sort, even if you don't need it, and then pay it back just to build your credit." So yeah, it's one of those things that you kind of need it. Like I know, just from looking for places to live in the past, there's been a few times where I've been, turned down from an apartment because my credit was just, well, there was nothing there, but, there was just nothing there to make them think that I was going to be a good tenant, even though I'm a really good tenant. It's just one of those things. And depends on how you make your money too. Like a lot of times, like right now, if I were to go out tomorrow and I wanted to get an apartment, I would have a lot of problems because I would have to prove what I'm making. So I would have to pretty much explain to them what I do. And then I would have to probably show bank statements. I would probably have to bring them in trading statements. And it would not be fun. That's what I'll put there. So Bismarcky says credit cards are not bad. Just use them properly. Yeah, exactly. So here's the best thing about a credit card. If you have a credit card that has no yearly fees and it has cash back on it, well, it makes sense to just buy everything on that credit card, but make sure you pay it off so you're not paying any interest, but then you're just getting free cash. It's like you've just created another stream of income. So, just something to think. Cats. Okay. I like cats. Yes, I do. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you. And more Starbucks. More Starbucks and money from Jackie. There we go. Yeah. Come on, Starbucks. Come back. Paul says, then 25 years to pay it off or more if you ever refinance and reset 25 amortization. There we go. And then Bonnie's back in with a hi, Candace. And Paul saying, look at this. I got $567 from the Costco MasterCard. Now, is that a year or how is that what you're making a year off of that card? Because if you are, that's 567. And imagine if you put that 567 and you invest it. And then you start compounding on the money you're making just because you're holding their credit card and you're using it the right way. All right, let's get to the next news story here. Boop-a-doo. We'll switch. All right, we got another bunny here. This is sort of like the Easter bunny that comes to visit Godzilla. I mean, it's a big bunny. It's definitely a big bunny. But so the West Coast, their ports are now booming. So Vancouver's port right now, it is the biggest in Canada by far. And overall, we can use it as being a good reflection of our overall economy. So last year, they had a record amount of cargo passing through. So we're talking 150.4 million tons. So that's a lot. That's a lot of weight. They also had a record of their oil output. So more oil was sent out than normal, than ever. They also had strong canola and wheat exports. And the auto exports surged by 11.8%. I wonder how many of those auto exports were stolen cars. So the Vancouver Fraser Port Authority, the CEO, they predicted that they could be in for another record year in 2024. especially as the crisis in the Red Sea diverts more cargo ships over to Canada's west coast. So, sometimes a bad thing in one area can be a boom in another area. Now, here's the funny thing, though, about this whole thing. Even though we had more weight, we actually had our number of overall containers was down about 12%. So that to me makes me think like maybe we're just transporting heavier stuff. But we may actually be down. And that's what makes me worry about the economy is that if we're not exporting as much, that could certainly be an issue. Now, we do need to keep in mind, though, that this is also, we also had a 13-day strike last year. So that was when the BC port workers closed. Basically, the port was closed for 13 days. So definitely something to keep in mind. So, yeah, that's what's going on our port over there. Let's hope they have another record year, and let's hope that the number of containers gets back up because that would be a good indication that our economy is looking a little better. But as we've already discussed, we already know our GDP per capita is not doing so great. So it's interesting to see what is going on there. All right, Paul came in and mentioned that was a year. Perfect. Jackie says, I use Airline credit card, pay all my bills on it, going to Vancouver in a few weeks on those points. Yahoo! Awesome, awesome. Vancouver's a beautiful city. Hopefully you have some fun there. Let's see. Paul says, we spent it at Costco. Okay. Didn't invest it, but spent it on some oversized groceries. Nothing wrong with that. Another Starbucks, some more Starbucks. And we got Starbucks again. Awesome. Oh, so many Starbucks. Paul says, the Costco MasterCard just offered to raise the limit 4,000 higher. I said no. And here's the thing. I'm going to say this. If you have no self-control, then saying no is huge. But if you have self-control, when you actually say yes to those increases, it's a huge boom on your utility, especially if you don't use any of that extra space. So, because one of the ratings on your credit report is your utility, which means the less of your overall credit space you use, the better that report is and the better that helps your credit rating. So I would say in my case, yeah, when they like right now, my credit, I think the card that Neo sent me has like an $8,000 limit. If they offer me another 4,000, I'll never use it, but I will still say yes because it will be awesome on my utility score. Friggins in the house. Made it. Sorry, I'm late. Chasing content. No worries. No worries. Were you on vacation last week, Friggin? Because I saw you streaming like every single day. And I also noticed that you did get monetized. So congratulations on that, Friggin. So there we go. Friggin says exactly. I just got another 15K added to my credit card, which I don't use. So it helps my credit score. Yeah. That is one of those things that certainly helps your credit score. Hello, Starbucks. Did you see all those hashtags? Do you see the Starbucks cup here, the little logo? Let me bring the logo closer to you, Starbucks. If you're scanning it, Starbucks bot, come on. Anyway, we'll have to probably forget about Starbucks eventually. It'll become beating a dead horse at some point. Kendall says, card limit only hurts if your card is stolen. Well, yes, that can be a big thing. I mean, if your card gets stolen, report it right away. And some credit cards, as long as you report it quick enough, they can reverse a lot of the charges and things like that. And you can usually get saved. But yeah, you definitely don't want to have your credit card stolen. All right. Paul says, happy Easter. I'll be catching the replay on my way home from London. Just dropping my son off at school. Awesome, Paul. Awesome. Hello to you and your son in the replay. We'll put that out there. All right. Let's get to our next story. we have another rabbit. All right. So we had the US PCE report that dropped for us on, I think it was on Friday, on Good Friday. So this is one of these interesting ones. So we're always talking about CPI. So PCE is your personal consumer expenditures. So that's what it stands for. So the Federal Reserve, they tend to hold a lot of weight in this report when they're gauging how inflation is doing. But I mean, in reality, it's not that much different from the CPI, but definitely understood. So for February, It came in as expected at 2.5%. Now it is up from 2.4% in January. So meaning inflation is a little bit higher in February, but they were expecting it. Now the rise, they're saying that mostly the rise that they're seeing is because, well, energy's rebounding again. Oil's going back up. So that is causing, that's causing a little bit of a bump on towards inflation. So the energy prices actually rose by 2.3%. So that is why it went up 0.1%. So that's not too shabby, actually. Now, despite getting what it was we were expecting, it's still showing that the 2% inflation levels that I guess we'll call it, what is it, our goal, both up here in Canada and the US. It just shows that they still have a long ways to go. Right now, they're not thinking it's going to affect the rate cut. So they're still thinking July in the US, but we'll have to see. There's still there's still some CPIs to come out before then. So we'll have to see. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. We just don't know. Friggin replied, "Oh, no vacation, just ramping up for my channel's new direction." All right, there we go. There we go. I know. And even this morning, now the friggin has these long streams. I got up early this morning at like 5 in the morning, and friggin was his last night's stream was still going. So if you like really long streams, friggin has you covered. He definitely does. But I'll mention his content can be a little bit on the racy side. So take that warning if you're not into more racier stuff. Then it may not be the channel for you, but check it out. You never know. Anyway, good to see you, friggin. Let's jump up to our next news story. All right. Once again, another bunny. Every time I see these bunnies, I'm just laughing. So, air passenger rights. So, the Supreme Court of Canada is now hearing a case about those flight cancellations. So, members of the airline industry, they're appealing. So, when you guys remember the new rules that came into effect, well, now the airlines are appealing it. And basically, it's called Canada's Air Passenger Protection Rules. They're arguing that the government don't have the right to impose rules on foreign carriers, and that compensation amounts go beyond passenger losses. Okay, fine enough. So the way it sits right now with these current rules, it's you can basically get compensated up to $1,000 for some flight delays, cancellations, as well as lost baggage. All the things the airlines really excel at. Now, keep in mind, just to give you an idea, last year in July, so the peak season for flights, Air Canada only 52% were on time. So that's not bad. WestJet actually did better though, so 62%. So if you have that option between Air Canada and WestJet, you might want to go WestJet because you got a slightly better chance of being on time. Now, the industry goal is 80%, and nobody's hitting that. Nobody's even coming close. So it's kind of really interesting. Now, one of the whole reasons that they think that this Air Canada had such a problem last year is that they overbooked. And, people were coming out of the pandemic, and people were wanting to travel, and they were trying to make up for lost revenue. So they overbooked. Profits, of course, are up right now in the airlines, so things are looking a little bit better for them. So here's the interesting thing. So even with the rules currently in place, it's still really, really hard to actually get compensation. Some might say squeezing blood from a stone in many cases. So the airlines are not very easy to dole out the money. Now, apparently, so the Canadian Transportation Agency, they actually handle complaints about the current rules. And right now, they've got a backlog of complaints. We're talking 70,000 files that they need to still get to. So if you thought back in the day waiting for a passport took forever, try filing a complaint with the Canadian Transportation Agency. See how that goes. Holy banana bread. So you gotta say. Oh, right. Friggin says long stream on my panel are not my fault. It's my panelists. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Ian says, I had an overnight layover in Toronto on Thursday. I brought a blanket and an air mattress and slept behind the security shed. Slept good. I would be scared to death to sleep and, out in the open in an airport. I, wake up and find my passport and my money and everything just gone. That's just, yeah, I would be very nervous. I would be incredibly nervous about that. But hey, if it worked for you, that's not so bad. Carl says, last time I was on a plane, it was with Canadian Airlines. Canadian Airlines. Now I think they've been gone for a long time. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just like, it's ringing a bell. Like I kind of know that they exist. So wow. Okay. Very, very cool. All right, it looks like we're gonna get through these news pretty quickly. That's fine. All right, let's jump to our next story. I love this picture, by the way. Bunny sleeping in a call center. Basically, so Canada's productivity. So the Bank of Canada, in their whole war on inflation, they've always been talking about productivity, and they're worried about it. And right now, they've also brought up an urgent warning saying we've got to get Canadian productivity up. So productivity in a nutshell, just so you guys know, in case you're kind of wondering what it is, it basically compares the amount of goods and services produced, so the output of our economy, with all of the labor hours used to produce them. So what they're saying is that we are using more labor for less output. So we need to sort of get that changed, get the output up. The labor can stay the same as long as the output comes up. That will then increase our productivity. So they say that businesses are urgently needing to boost investment, basically to increase. Well, yeah, you boost investment, make things better, give people better tools, maybe bring in a little bit of AI. I'm throwing that out there to increase productivity. So an economy with low productivity they can grow only so quickly before, and good old inflation. That's the thing. A low productivity does lead to inflation. And the reason is that with a low productivity, it impacts the economy's ability to, produce goods and services efficiently. When production costs rise because of that inefficiency, these increased costs are then passed on to, us, the consumers, as higher prices. So that is a form of inflation. So the labor productivity of Canadian businesses rose. It rose 0.4 in the fourth quarter after falling for 6 straight quarters. Annual productivity declined 1.8% in 2023. And that's our third consecutive year of decline, according to Statistics Canada. Good old Statistics Canada. So we need to get our productivity up. People just need to work harder. Work harder, everybody. I work hard enough, but you guys all need to work harder, according to the Bank of Canada. But yeah, that's the thing. We really need to just, if we put AI in, right? AI, come on in, help us out, increase our productivity. Let's get our numbers up. That would be fantastic. Okay, Ian kept my passport in my pocket. Good idea. And let's see here. Productivity should be up next quarter because I came back. Ian, to you, Ian. Ian single-handedly fixing productivity. This is great. This is good. Let's see. Paralovia says, Candace, you are a great inspiration to all of us in chat. Okay, Candace, you are a great inspiration. All of us in chat need to pay the small monthly membership, and just maybe we could have 2, not just 1 weekly market close. We all know it's important and prosperous. Oh, there's the thing. We could set up goals. We could set up a goal. So maybe if we get, I don't even know what to say, but it could be fun. It could be kind of a fun idea. It's like saying hey, 10 people subscribe to the channel, you'll get an extra, next week you'll get an extra market close, that type of thing. Yeah, that type of thing is always possible anyway. And that's, that increases my productivity. So it solves the whole issue right there as well. Bismarcky says, pay people more. maybe productivity will improve. Ah, yes. But that's the other issue, right? Low productivity can also help create that situation where you get into the wage price spiral thing that the bank is all worried about as well. But yeah, no, if you pay people more, they will do more. But the thing is that there is so much. Like I think people, I think where we're heading, just as a society, is in the future we're all going to work less. For the 4-day work week, it's going to be a done deal eventually. And that the reason for that is that as AI becomes more and more prominent, AI will start doing more and more. So it is going to happen that we're going to work less productivity. We're going to have to change a lot of the way we measure the economy and things that are going on. Because when AI is doing a lot of stuff, we'll at that point we'll have to even look at like UBI, universal basic income. There's a lot of things that are going to change, and it's kind of funny. It's almost, I don't want to say scary. I'm excited about it, but in a way, for a lot of people, it's probably very scary how fast AI has sort of, you know, you take it. I remember talking about it back on a one of those back on when the days of Kryptonite in Canada over on the Danters channel. I was talking about it like I think in December, and I was telling people what was out there, what was coming. And everybody was like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." And then January, Chat GPT exploded onto the scene, and everything has just been getting bigger and better. And there is just now they've got these robots that are just insanely cool. So the world is changing fast. And this is a thing people may not realize. I hear a lot of people say, "Oh yeah, well, okay, well, yeah, we got like Chat GPT. Maybe 10, 20 years or so, we'll see some big changes." No, it's going to be more or less like I would say 2 to 5 years that we're going to really start seeing a lot of changes, and it's going to be a constant. Like there's always going to be this push towards changes, and when I'm saying 2 to 5 years, we're going to see within that we're going to see artificial intelligence get to a point that it's smarter than us. It'll get to a point where it'll know what you want before you even know what you want. So it's going to be very, very cool. Just something to keep in mind. Ian says, not related, but I am looking for a high eligible dividend stock for my non-registered account. All right, so now when you say high, how high are you looking? That's one of the things that you have to sort of look at. What I would recommend, I'm not going to give you a stock right now, but I'm going to say if you I know I made a video. Actually, the video I think was on the channel on the for the channel members. But using a stock screener, you can really find anything that you're looking for example. So if you're looking for um, after the news, Ian, bring this up again. After the news is finished, and I've gotten through the news thingies, we'll switch over to another layout, and I'll bring up a stock screener, and we'll just show you quickly how you could go about finding that. So just keep me on focus on that, Ian. As soon as we get through the news, we will do that. I just don't want to pull the news down and pull everything back up, but we'll do this. Yeah, I like that idea. Kendall says, tell a farmer to work 4-day weeks and see what happens. Yes. You see, that's a problem. When we get to a 4-day week, there are jobs where it's going to be hard to actually do. But at the same time, you get robots out on the field that can do everything a farmer can do, that can plant, that can hoe, that can harvest. I mean, there's so much room for transformation. It'll be really, really interesting, but I don't think initially you'll have it. And even then, I mean, here's the thing. If if you have that farmer, ideology in you, and that's just the way you are, you're probably not going to want it would almost be a punishment to only work 4 days. So yeah, I mean, it's not going to work for everything, and it'll be one of these things where you'll get it in some areas you won't. It really comes down to like healthcare right now. I don't think we could afford to start having people work less time because we don't have enough people as it is. So it really boils down to how this all evolves. And it will be fun to see how it evolves and see which industries it starts to really impact first and all of that fun stuff. Lisa says, good luck with a 4-day week in an auto plant. Yeah, well, that's the thing though. Imagine like if you look at a typical auto plant, there is already a lot of robots that do a lot of the assembly. Imagine just keep doing that even more, and you might be able to pull something off. It's hard to say. I mean, that might be automation might be able to completely replace almost everybody in that sense. Ian says, I would like to work 4 10-hour shifts a week. Yeah, I used to do that. I used to do 4 10s. It was always nice because then you had 3 days off, which is kind of good. I never liked. The problem is with days off. When you have a job that you don't like, this is kind of how my week would go. If I had a job I didn't like, I would work for 5 days. Then my weekend would come, and I'd be tired on the first day just trying to get over the job I don't like. And so I'd have a little bit of time, So let's say we'll just use a normal work week. So yeah, Saturday morning it would be like, I'm just tired, trying to get my energy up. The Saturday afternoon, there we go, my fun time. And then Sunday, I would try to have fun, but I wouldn't because I would be like, oh my God, I got to work tomorrow. Oh, so that's kind of one of the bad things. Now, when you have something you do like what I'm doing right now. So between this and the trading, I get 1 day off a week, and that's Saturday. And I'm okay with that because, it's fun. Like coming here and doing the live stream, it's fun. Um, Now keep in mind, like, it's not just this, I don't just sort of plop here and go, okay, so all of the news I have to research the news, find the stories that I want. I have to, create the images and everything. Although AI has made it so much better when it comes like I can get AI to make images a lot faster than I ever could. So, it's made it better in that sense. But if you enjoy, and this is kind of funny, I was watching a video the other day where somebody said one of the worst things you can do is take the advice, work at what you love, because if you turn what you love into a job, well, it tends to lose a bit of the love, and you don't love it as much after that. It becomes more of a chore. Um, but I think in some situations, it depends on what the situation's like. I think in this case here, I do love this. I mean, it's kind of like some of my favorite jobs before doing what I've been doing now is, I used to train people how to, how to troubleshoot computers and systems and internet connections and all that fun stuff. And I used to love that because that was fun. I'm there, I'm sort of giving my knowledge, talking, interacting like that. And this, in a way, this feels a lot like this. So I look at a live stream. It's almost like teaching a class, a very long class, mind you, sometimes. But it's kind of like that, and it's fun. And you guys, the fact that you guys are there throwing your questions at me and things like that, to me, that's just fantastic. This is awesome. This is a gig. I guess I could call it a gig. Lovia says, Ian, the stock I chose for this is BTO non-registered 6+ divs and hoping on good growth over the next couple of years. Let Candace check into it. So there we go. BTO. Nice. Lisa says, more people than robots. Robots are only in certain areas of the plant. Okay. That for now, I mean, that's the thing. When we get to a point, especially as, we get more and more robots, the price comes down and it will make it almost too cost efficient for somebody not to switch to a lot more automation. So, and okay, this is a fair point. Robots can't do all the things human assemblers are able to do. Long ways away to full automation. Well, we're a long ways away, or we think we are. That's the thing. Once you add an AI to a robot, it's basically, it changes things quite a bit. Like, I know I watched that thing that OpenAI did where this robot was able to, sort dishes and hand an apple out and talk while doing it and all of this thing. I was just like, to me, that blew me away. Like, it was just, that the robot could do all of that all at once, and how well it was, how far, considering how far we were away even 6 months ago. So look at where we're at now after 6 months, and look 6 months into the future. So robots are developing faster and faster. So, maybe there's going to be things they can't do, but I'm right now, if I have to hedge my bet, I'm betting on the robots. No offense to you, Lisa. I mean, I don't want any, I mean, it would suck for people to start losing jobs, but it's going to happen, and people will be on UBI at some point in the future. Then we have to look at one, uh, I think at first, and this is kind of the big thing. A lot of people say you don't have to worry about losing your jobs. You're going to either be that person who doesn't use AI and loses their job, or the person who uses AI and evolves with it. So there's a lot of interesting things coming up. Bleak says, "Hey all," and Lisa's throwing in too many variables on an assembly line. Robots work well in a body shop, but not so much in general assembly. Well, there may be too many variables for the current robots that we have. As they get much, much better, I don't think if variables are going to be as big of an issue. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I could be completely wrong, Lisa. I could be. But what I'm seeing is I'm seeing an advancement that's incredible. Very much so. Ina says, I need a robot in the house for cleaning. Yeah, absolutely. And Vineet made it. Hello, Vineet. Good to see you. Vineet's one of the people who brought that Discord thing to my attention with robots with scam. Well, they could be robots with scammers reaching out, pretending to be me and asking you about crypto. Remember, I'm never going to reach out to you and ask you about crypto. Not without at least starting a very big conversation first outside. Yeah, it's just always assume it's not me. Always assume it's not me. Kendall G says, I need that one that cooks and cleans. Yeah, absolutely. Avalash says, do you think there will still be investing once robots take over? Wouldn't the consumption drop in the economy? That's a good question. I keep thinking about this a lot. Like, how is the market going to change? For now, I think companies still are going to need investors. I think there's still going to need to be, they're still going to need money. They're still going to need cash. So I don't think that's going to change. Like, I think investing is going to go on, but there's going to be things about investing, I think, that are going to change. I think the whole idea of, let's say, playing the market, I think that's going to go away. I think the only type of investing we're going to have in the future is going to be basically your dollar cost averaging, because you're going to see a lot of the sort of the retail type manipulations, or even not retail, but with hedge funds and institutional investment. That's all going to get taken over eventually by AI, and a lot of it already is. So it's going to make it harder for people who want to do, well, something like what I do with swing trading. It might make that more difficult. But we'll have to sort of see how that is going to filter in. So that, to me, when I say 2 to 5 years, I'm thinking that's probably on the 5-year side. So we'll have to see. Patricia's in the house. Hello, Patricia. And Enid agreeing with Kendall. And John Connor has joined the chat. Awesome, awesome. I think you just missed well, most of it, but we're still going. We're good. We're good. Ooh, 9 says we should have a Mr. Math AI. I like that. I like that. Let's do it. Let's do it. Paralovia says, I am thinking the world is in sad shape once we start relying on robots. What's next? Let's have a baby. It's, well, you might want to have a baby. There's going to be some population issues in the future as well. So one of those things to keep in mind. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting. I mean, the world changes. If you think about it, let's go back in time, back to the horse and buggy day, when all of a sudden people were talking about, oh, we can make a carriage without a horse, a car. I think a lot of people were thinking, well, I don't know if we should. You're going to put horse breeders out of business. People who make horseshoes are going to go out of business. All of carriage makers will go out of business. People will lose their jobs. Nobody wants to ride in a horseless carriage. But of course we have. Let's go closer. Back in the 90s, the whole internet started popping up. People are like, oh yeah, so you can talk to people with your computer. It's never gonna catch on. It's gonna be a fad. Nobody wants to do that. You can just pick up the phone and call them. But look at it now. Look at what that happened. Um, haha, that's a funny thing. When you said that, I was like, I was gonna say that you had just missed the Terminator, but I was like, wait a minute. Because I don't know your real name, Country Auto Garage. If your name was John Connor, I thought to myself as I was about to say it, and that's why I sort of backtracked. That oh my god, if his real name is John Connor, he's heard that so many times, and I don't want to do that to the poor guy. So that's kind of where I was thinking. Ina says, "Yeah, maybe robots can do swing trades for us. Good idea." Ah, running out of coffee. You never know. I mean, you never know. It'd be interesting to see. Just get a robot to print money, Enid. There you go. There you go. You could have your own robot. You could call it the Bank of Canada and have it print some money for you. It's like, yeah, I need some cash. Print me something. Come on, come on. Awesome. That works. All right, let's get to the next news story. So 41 million Canadians. And before I actually talk about it, I want to quickly say this is an image of a rabbit looking at 41 million Easter eggs, or at least AI's interpretation of 41 million Easter eggs. I didn't take the time to count them. I did not take the time to count them. So I'm just going to give AI the benefit of the doubt that that's 41 million Easter eggs. So we'll have to go with that. All right. So I was talking about population getting smaller, but Stats Canada has announced that we have hit a new population of 41 million just after breaking, we just broke 40 million a few months before that. So we're definitely flying up in population. Now, keep in mind, keep in mind, this is a lot of people who have come into our country. It's not so much the birth rate that's doing it. So between January 1st of 2023 and January 1st of 2024, we added 1,271,872 new inhabitants. So it's a 3.2% growth rate. It's the highest we've had since 1957. So that's kind of interesting. Now, most of that is from temporary immigration. And if we got rid of all of our temporary immigration, our growth rate would be down to 1.2%. Now, there's some positives and some negatives to this. The positive is that these bodies, we used them to fill our shortages. So labor shortages filled. There you go. We got new bodies. And that, of course, is good for the GDP. It's not good for the per capita GDP, but it is good for the GDP that, we tend to look at. The negative, everybody knows what the negative is. Housing shortages. Yep, if you pull in that many people and you don't build that many homes, guess what happens? We run out of homes, and that throws the rents up and all of that fun stuff. So, you gotta like it. You gotta like it. All right, now our next story. You guys will like this. You guys are gonna like this next story. I think you're gonna like it. All right, let's pull up the next one. There we go. I got a story about this too, about the picture. So I had to settle for this picture for a banana hike. The first picture I had is I asked for a picture of a rabbit eating a banana. Well, oh dear. I looked at it and I'm like, that picture really comes off naughty. So, we had to change it up a little bit. So, anyway, definitely interesting. So, so down in the US, there's a store called Trader's Joe, and they have one of their most popular products is it's a banana. So they've kept the price of that banana nice and low, and they've not even raised. They've not raised it. It's their 19-cent banana. So 19 cents for a banana. They've had that price at 19 cents all the way from 2001. So that's huge. That's huge. So here's the thing. Holy banana bread. It has come to an end. The yellow streak is over. And Trader Joe's, they've had to hike the price by 20%. So now their 19-cent banana is now a 23-cent banana. Oh dear. What's it coming to when you got to pay more for your bananas? And I think I've mentioned this here before. When I was a kid, we had a banana war in Nova Scotia. And the way it went down to is basically you could get a bunch of bananas, a whole bundle of them, a whole, batch for for a penny, not a buck. So they were almost giving away bananas. And one store started it to say, okay, fine. You guys want to put your bananas on sale? We're going to put them on for a penny a pound or whatever. And everybody started doing it. So during that time, I cannot tell you how many bananas I ate because, of course, frugal parents are just picking up bananas left, right, and center. And you're getting hit with banana bread. And you got bananas to go with you to school. It's like, oh, you want an evening snack? Here's a banana. So, yeah, it was like a banana palooza. So it was pretty funny. Anyway, that's the interesting thing about the banana. And, Trader Joe's, they're charging a little more for the bananas. Ah, dear. And not counting the ones we missed out with the eggs. I just love that Bunny is in Dreamland. Let's all go there. Yeah. Well, I think that's on the past one there, but yeah, good old bunnies. This is the last bunny picture, by the way. So, no more bunnies for at least till next year. Next Easter, we'll have more bunnies. Patricia says 41 million. I remember learning in school about the population in Canada back then, 6 million. Yeah. Here's a funny thing. I was watching, actually, me and Jill sat down. We watched this 9-part documentary on the Cold War and nuclear weapons. And they mentioned in it the population of Ukraine is 50 million. I was like, whoa, that's more than Canada. I did not think I did not realize that Ukraine had that many people. But yeah, so Ukraine beats us in population, but we're catching up. We're slowly catching up. Patricia says, love Trader Joe. Wish we had it here. Yeah, absolutely. Carl says, been 79 cents a pound here for many years. Made me cry a little when it went to 89 cents. Oh my God. Yeah, absolutely. Country Auto Garage. I was wondering where the holy banana bread came from. Now I know. Yeah, it's just that. Actually, to be very honest about it, when I used to work a little bit, did some work in a call center for Compaq. And of course, you can't swear at all in a call center. You have to so I was like, I need to have a word, just, instead of like a holy beep, I need my own word. And I was just thinking, and I was just like, I don't know. I did remember all of the bananas from my childhood, and there's all kinds of banana related stories, which sounds weird all on its own. But it just came to me, holy banana bread. And in a way, it was also like, if you think about Batman and Robin would always be like, holy bat something, or holy bat whatever. So that probably influenced it as well, because I used to be a big fan of the old show. So anyway, that's kind of where holy banana bread came from. Paralovia says, that was where banana bread was born. You are the greatest. I try. Kendall says, no swearing. I'm out. Bye. Off goes Kendall. Yikes. All right. And our last thing here, at least news-wise, is our crypto corner. And I got a couple little things for crypto. So interesting. We had one of the interesting things last week with Bitcoin is we had a lot of options that were expiring on Good Friday. So it created a little bit of a fear in the market. So a lot of people were thinking that Bitcoin was going to crash big time on Friday, but it did not. Even though we had $9.4 billion worth of options expiring on Friday, the market was fine. The market was okay. It was actually, it surprised me. I will honestly say I kind of expected a bit of a drop. So I'm like, whoa, this is nice. This is a good sign. This is showing to me that the market is really starting to get a little bit of the volatility under check. I think it still is going to have a lot of ups and downs, but it's nice to see some things not actually, making it go completely crazy. Now, the next big thing on the Bitcoin calendar, guys, is we're coming into April. So we are going to have the halving. So right now, it's anticipated that the halving will be around the 23rd of April. So basically, about 22 days. So 22 days from now, we should have the halving. So that will be very, very interesting. Now, I always talking about the halving, and sometimes people are like, well, what the heck is the halving? So basically, block halving events, they happen roughly every 4 years or 210,000 blocks. So basically, a block is the way a blockchain is that you've got a bunch of blocks all chained together, and once the data it fills up on one block, you move to the next block and the next block. But what's happening is you're basically creating Bitcoin by solving things on the system. But as you sort of fill up the blockchain, that sort of helps you determine how one of these halvings is going to come. So as they're solving these equations, they get a reward for Bitcoin. So right now, so let's see here. So, well, let's go back to the beginning. Initially, when Bitcoin was formed, when you solved the equation, you would basically get 50 Bitcoin. 50 Bitcoin. Crazy. Now, the current reward, we're down to 6.25 because we had a whole bunch of these halvings. So right now, when you solve an equation, you get 6.25 of Bitcoin. But after the halving, you're only going to get 3.125 Bitcoin. So you get half. That's why they call it the halving. So every 4 years, roughly, we get a halving, and that comes down. And so 4 years from now, we'll be down to 1.55, something like that, somewhere's in that vicinity. So it's kind of an interesting thing. So what happens is that as it gets harder to make Bitcoin, because basically the equations just get harder, the algorithm and everything that has to go through, it gets harder to make more Bitcoin for that reason. And that's and it's going to keep doing this until eventually there'll eventually someday be a point where there's no more Bitcoin, and that will be 21 million Bitcoin total. That's the total amount that you can have. So it is, this is something that, the halving itself, it was actually programmed into the original code. So it's not something we can change. It's just, it's going to keep on going. But what will happen is, so the miners will make less money because they're only making half as much Bitcoin as they were before the halving. And because of that, they don't just all stop mining, because what ends up happening on the Bitcoin side is typically after the halving, not immediately, usually it can take months, up to a full year before things go crazy. That price can absolutely explode. So, in the past, we've seen some pretty big drops, some big jumps, and sometimes, some cases, the actual price of Bitcoin has doubled. Not to say that's going to happen this time, but if you look at the past, you're going to have that opportunity after the halving. It might even come down a little bit, but here's the thing. A lot of people are now thinking that we've already had our drops before the halving. And then another thing that's interesting too is Bitcoin has never in its history had an all-time high before the halving. That usually comes after. So things are maybe a little bit different this time. We'll have to see how it's all going to work out. But that's kind of the cool little thing in reference to the no swearing. Oh, fiddlesticks, says Pyrlovia. I'm done. There we go. That's okay. I mean, I don't mind. I mean, people can swear as much as they want. It doesn't bother me in any way, shape, or form. All right. Now, I had promised something to Ian. Whoops, just give me a second here. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to change this to make me big. And I am going to, just give me a second here. We'll do this. I'm going to go over here. Back over here. All right. Let's do this. And this should bring up the white screen. The whiteboard. I just want to, I'm looking around the camera so I can see where the button is I had to click. There we go. All right. So that's not what I want. Right over here. So one of the things to do, Ian, is you were mentioning as well that you were looking for a stock with a high dividend. So you can come into this. This here is this is TMX Money, so money.tmx.com. So TMX is the company that owns the TSX. So what you can do in this case here is you can go into let's see here. We're going to go to their tools, and we'll go to a stock screener. So here we go. We'll pull up the stock screener, and I get a whole bunch of criteria. So let's say, for example, we're looking for dividends. So let's go to dividends. You're looking for high dividends, so we can go to dividend yield, and we will add that filter. Now, right now, it's giving me everything from no dividends to a 91% yield. Well, we obviously don't want a 91%. So let's say you were looking for at least, we'll say at least 7. So we'll go with 7% to 91%. And down below, we'll see all the stocks that do this. So you can sort of see there's a whole bunch of them. But now here's the thing. If you're going to invest in something that, I can't do that in this screener. It won't let me choose monthly. You'll have to kind of eyeball that in this one. But and guys, that's what he asked. I answer a question without putting it up there. So people are like, what is she saying? But all right. So if you want to have it at least a little bit more stable, what I normally recommend is, let's take a look at a couple of things here. So here's a couple of things. We got a return on equity, so my ROE. So I like ROE, so I'm going to put in a return on, and we'll also do the ROA, so return on assets as well. Let's put these both in here. All right, so return on equity, let's say at least, let's come in at 10. I like going in at 10, and with return on assets, we'll say 5. All right, so this has helped us eliminate a whole bunch of stocks. So this is what we got. We're left with this little pile right in here. So what you have to do is sort of look at them, and you can do a sort. So for example, let's go to dividends. We'll sort them by dividend yield. All right, so you're gonna kind of want to eyeball them. So in this case here, if I'm looking at these, here's a great one. So this one here, I'm only choosing this one because I just added this one to our challenge. You'll see this in the new video. So this here is DIV. DIV is a nice little stock. So if I go to DIV, let's just open it in a new tab here. So this is a royalty stock, so Diversified Royalty Corporation. Let's give you their last year. So they had been coming down, but they're now in recovery. So they're starting to come back up, and that's one of the reasons I've got back into this one. Now they have a nice little 8.59% yield. Now they hold royalty in Canadian stocks, so they would be eligible. So let's just give me an idea here. So right down here, you can sort of see that they hold. Do they mention what they are here? No, I know they owned I know they have let's see, Air Miles, Mr. Lube. Those are a couple that I remember off the top of my head. A couple of restaurants. So they have a few different royalties that they hold. So they're a royalty company. They're based out of Vancouver. That's just one little thing right there. So that was just taking a look at one thing. Now this one is monthly. Now let's take a look. There's more here that are monthly. I also saw FRU in here too. FRU, let's see, where is it? I thought I saw it. Maybe they did, oh yeah, here's FRU right here. Now, FRU is, once again, they are another royalty, but they're more of an energy royalty. So if we take a look down here, you'll sort of see, yeah, oil and gas royalties. So they tend to do pretty darn good. They've got a 7.402, and they're also monthly. So another good royalty stock with that. This is one I actually would like to add to the challenge. And I will eventually. Now, if we go up towards the top, if you're looking for something a little bit higher, why? I think that's the yellow pages, isn't it? I'm kind of curious. What is why? Yeah, the yellow pages. I don't know if I could see the yellow pages being very, and they're also quarterly. But yeah, there's the yellow pages. Funny. Yeah. Why did I ask why? This is Cardinal Energy, I think. Are they monthly? I don't think they are. I think they're quarterly. Yeah, Cardinal Energy is. Oh no, they are monthly. So here's an interesting one. So this one's a monthly, 10.169%. Just one of these interesting things that you could put out there. Fairly cheap, $7.08. Let's take a look and see how they've done. I'm gonna go with the 3-year. They've actually, considering how oil went down quite a bit, they've actually done not so bad. And I'll go into the key data here. Let's take a look here. I'm kind of curious to see what we actually had here. Okay, so we got 11.22 and an 8.84. Actually, that's a pretty good return on assets there. 6-cent dividend, and I'm just taking a look here. Looks like it's pretty stable. June, May, April. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything lost. So and then you'll just sort of go through and you'll pull things out, do your due diligence, take a look at things. But that is that is kind of an interesting thing. Happy Easter. And Ian says, is Div a good stock for a non-registered account? Are royalties taxed differently? I know, because it's a royalty company. So they're still a company and they pay out a dividend like normal, but they make their money by royalties. So it's not like you're being paid royalties, you're being paid dividends. Just to sort of put that into perspective there. Oops, I'm going to pull this away for now. Bring up the big screen again. Abalash says, I don't think the stock screen is up to date. Some of the dividends shown do not show the drops from dividend reduction that happened over the past year. I'm not sure which screen you were talking about, but it should be, normally it's up to date. Although I will say, with the TMX, if there's any kind of weirdness, like for example, a stock split, sometimes it completely messes up the data temporarily. But, all right, we'll wait till I hear back on what you were saying there. Perilovia says, I generate over 500 per month on Div. Wish I had bought more when I did. So there we go. Perilovia is definitely taking advantage of Div. And yeah, no, Div, I love Div. I've been in Div on and off for a long time. Ray says, I liked your breakdown on EIT. Their website only shows approximately 7% of their holdings. Do you know what else they hold? Thanks. Nothing beyond what's on the website. I do not know, but I will keep digging on that. And I still haven't heard back from Canoe because I reached out to see if they would sponsor me. I haven't heard anything yet back from them. And I also want more information on that yield fund, that they're looking at. So let's see. Kendall, I'm curious to know why you want to replace EIT. All right, and that's coming from, well, it's a non-registered account. So holding EIT in a non-registered account, you do have return on capital. So you have some ROC happening there. So your capital gains will be bigger for that reason. So EIT, I love that stock to death, but not the best stock to hold in a non-registered account if you can help it. Ian says, I'm heavy on mining, energy, and banks. I needed to diversify away from those sectors, going to look into DIV. There you go. So yeah, do your due diligence on it, of course. Ian says, I want to replace EIT because it's in a non-registered account, not good tax-wise. Hold a bunch of my RRSP as well, but I will keep those. All right, yeah, exactly. There we go. Fantastic. All right. Well, got a tiny bit of coffee left, so we're still doing good here. Hey, Starbucks, remember when you sponsored me last week unofficially with your bot? Bring it back. There we go. Coffee is gone. Coffee is done. All right. Well, we're coming towards the end. I know last week we went a whole friggin' 2 hours. If you guys, of course, if you got questions, throw them in before we're done. Yeah, so this is your call for last minute questions coming up on the channel. This week we have, oh, well, you know what? I can just do it this way. Give me a second. I'm gonna bring it over here. I'm gonna bring this back up. Here we go. Over on the Discord, guys, we got this YouTube schedule. This is where you can see what is coming up. So you can see here on April 2nd, we got rebalancing right here. There we go. We got, of course, our market close on the 3rd. We got a deep dive coming up on the 5th. I got to actually get that deep dive out for you guys to vote right away. Live stream again. April 10th, that's going to be the This Week Crypto Night Special. That's going to be a neat little thing. We're going to have two, actually. We're going to have two live streams that day. We're going to have the market close and then the crypto night. I've got one guest so far. I'm still looking to secure a couple more, but it's going to be a good show. Deep dive, blah, blah, blah. Oh, here's the channel members live stream on the 18th. Anyway, I'm just going crazy on this. So this here, by the way, this is our Discord. We go in here, we get lots of stuff we can do, we can talk. We have this neat little thing down here on the bot spot. You can do it anywhere on the Discord, but let me show you guys this. And you'll see all these charts. Well, that's because you can ask for a chart. So there's a little bit of a code. So so just like here, you see, so what is it there? An exclamation FC. And then I'm going to go BTC, so Bitcoin. And I want, let's say I want the 4 hour. All right, I'll hit enter. And then the bot goes and it gets it. Open this up here. And this here is our 4 hour Bitcoin chart. So you can do it with pretty much anything. Sometimes there's a little bit of syntax to what you have to do, but you just look, if you look through, Paul uses this religiously. So Paul is in there constantly. And I know every time he is because on my watch, I'll pull it over. On my watch, I get a little buzz notification that he asks. Then I get a buzz notification saying that the bot let him know, send him his chart. I don't mind. It's cool. I could always turn it off if I really wanted to. But yeah, that's over there on the Discord. So that's what's coming up over the next little week here. All right. All right. Now, let's see. All right, there we go. Paralovia. I'm going to pull this over. Boom. Paralovia asks, I have a question. Why would you buy Canoe when you can buy and play individual stocks that Canoe holds? Fair enough. Fair enough. You could certainly do that. You may not get the same return. Now, Canoe does, for example, one thing Canoe does do in the back screen and in the background, they do use a little bit of leverage in there as well to help enhance that return a bit. So there is that. But yeah, you could certainly do that and you wouldn't be paying the management fees, but you probably are not going to get that same. You're probably not going to replicate that level of return. Just saying. But you could do it. You could certainly do it. And I know there are some people that have moved away from Canoe and have been looking at other different types of funds as well. So, I mean, Canoe may not be for everyone. I do like it. For me, the biggest selling point on Canoe is that reliability. No matter what has happened in the market, Canoe just keeps on pumping out that 10 cents. So I like that reliability. I like knowing that I don't have to worry about it. So that's just kind of my perspective on it. Country Auto Garage, markets, BTC, S&P 500, even TSX racing to new highs. They're making me feel very nervous. Yes. And I think a lot of people are thinking that. Like, even the whole thing from Vic early in the show saying that, people who know nothing about the market are starting to recommend NVIDIA. And everything keeps on going to big all-time highs. And I've heard whispers of people saying, "Oh gosh, we're going to get a crash. We're going to get a crash." I mean, it could happen. We could have a crash. That's the whole thing with the market. You never know what is going to happen. So yeah, there could be some retracements. There could be a deep correction coming. We don't know. But at the same time, we also know that we haven't really even begun the bear market yet. So if we're at all-time highs now, and then we move into a into a bull market I'm talking about, that could be very interesting. But there's a lot of things that could definitely happen, and it never hurts. Like if you're feeling nervous, Um, sometimes it doesn't hurt to follow your gut. You may be wrong, you may be right. But that's why, there are fixed income out there right now. The fixed income is the highest you're going to get back. Um, you got the cash ETFs out there as well. There are different options if you want to. And some people will say, maybe, I think more of the smart investors are kind of like, if they're getting nervous, they may not pull everything out, but they might move a small, like they might say, let's say normally you have a 5 to 10% fixed asset allocation. They might say, okay, well, I'm going to just double that up to, let's say 10 to 20% fixed asset, just to, but the big thing is if something does happen, and if it's big and things go down big time, try not to go into full on panic mode, because some people will. That's kind of where um, I've known some smart investors who take the 2008 financial crisis when things went down. They did the things that they really shouldn't have done, and they ended up selling out of a lot of positions, taking some huge losses. And these were all positions that recovered. So you always want to be a little bit careful and sort of have a plan in place. Like, always sort of think to yourself, okay, what are my plans if this happens, or what are my plans? What are my contingency plans when things go absolutely into the banana soup? I mean, you got to know. You just got to have an idea. Ian says, my daughter wrecked her car when I was gone. Need a plastic bumper sponsor. Oh, there we go. Oh my God. I'm glad. I was about to ask if she was okay, but then I saw your next comment. She's okay. I actually fixed the car already with a heat gun and some JB Weld. Nice. Nice. And Carl's saying my cash holdings are at an all-time high. So Carl is maybe feeling that as well. Now, and this is one of the good things here, and Kendall kind of sort of touches on this. Election in the U.S. is coming. Dems will start beating the pandemic drums. Not so much the second part, but the fact that there is an election coming. It's rare to see the market crash before a big election, before something like this. So I have a feeling, and if Trump wins, that'll be good for the market. But it'll be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. I'm just going to leave it at that. Nine says, same. Perlobi says, Candace, do you have a favorite energy stock with oil being 80 plus? Oh, one of my favorites is, let me show you guys. I'll show you. It's not even a particular stock here. Let's bring this back up. Let's get back over here. I have this, there's this one little ETF that I really like. And it is XEG. It's the iShares, it's a capped energy index ETF. So let's just go back to the last 6 months. So you can see right here, as energy started picking up this year, this thing has just been going up, 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 up. I mean, quite literally, from $15 to $18 as energy began to recover. So this one does track pretty much with energy. And as energy is doing good, it's a really nice ETF to get into. You're not looking at a lot of dividends. It's got like a 3.197% yield, quarterly dividend, but it is a nice. I'll show you a couple things here. This is here. Okay, this will blow you away. Look at this. The return on equity, 28.89%. That's fantastic. Return on assets, 15.53%. So this is fantastic. So I do like this stock a lot. ETF. It is an ETF. Really, I should have it. I should have already invested in it in the one. There's so many stocks I want to add still to the 0 to 100 challenge, but I'm pretty much limited with that 500 a month. And well, I also get any supers that you guys do, like super chats, super stickers, and super thanks. Those go into it as well. But I really should add XEG in this next one coming up. So yeah, I love this. I love this stock. Anyway, that is the one that I would definitely say is worth some due diligence on your guys' side. Awesomeness. All right, let's pull this away. There we go. All right. Well, guys, I think we're coming up to the end here. This has been another great day. Enjoy your Easter supper. You guys having like ham or duck or chicken? I don't know what people have. I don't even know what I'm having yet. But anyway, it's been fun. I've had a fantastic afternoon talking to you guys. We'll be back here again on the market close, of course, on Wednesday. I can't wait. I think that will be a lot of fun. So until then, everybody. I will bid you our final farewell for the day, and we'll see you in April. It's going to be a great month. Hopefully, better